Hey everybody, this is Dan Carpenter with DJN TV, and I wanted to come to you today with a review of the Pioneer XPRS 12 or the Express 12. So I get all the disclaimers out there on the table. Did want to let you know that yes, this is the pair of speakers that I won last week at DJ Times DJ Expo. No, this review was not a condition of it, but I figured, hey, let's take advantage of the fact that we have these speakers, open them up, play with them for a little bit, and let you guys know what they sound like. Okay, so my original plan was actually to do an unboxing with you. Then I just realized exactly how difficult and how well, I guess maybe you could say, that they decided to package this into the box, and that was just not going to be a pretty sight if you tried to take it out. So first thing is, the box is going to come well packaged, and so you don't have to worry about that. But when I started to put it up here on the mount, I noticed something very particular about these speakers. First off, they tell you they have a 0 degree and a 7 degree mounting brackets for on top of the speaker tripod. But I was used to the QSC K12s, which have a different type of a setup underneath. They have like a little dial you can switch. With the Express 12s, it's not exactly like that. In fact, what makes it a little bit different is there's two holes on the bottom here. So two holes. The front one is giving you a 7 degree tilt, so if you're up on a stage, you can angle it down at the people down in the crowd, or the back one, which is the 0 degree. Now, that makes it kind of nice. It's fitting on there snug. You don't have to worry about any of the tilt that sometimes you get with the other ones that have the dial switch on them. But the one thing is, you got to make sure you're aiming for the right hole. These are kind of heavy speakers, and that's one of the things that we'll be talking about, exactly what the poundage is when we get into them a little bit more. But it was a little bit of difference for me. All right, so we decided to spin this around to the back, take a look at what we're dealing with on the back. One of the first things that you're going to notice here is there's no LCD display. That seems to be a little bit of a trend lately with a lot of the speaker companies, is they're putting on the LCD displays. Not here. Whether that's a benefit or a deterrent, I don't know. It's kind of up to you. What I'm noticing here, though, is all those features that would be in the LCD are selectable buttons back here. So not really any loss that it seems to be from anything that I could tell. First off, we got an EQ mode. We've got flat, we've got bass, so it's going to give you that little extra bump. Speech, you're going to be hooking these up for a corporate conference, maybe a meeting that somebody's going to have. These could be making you some good weekday money. So nice to see that they got a feature just to kind of promote the speech. Or wedges. Are these going to be down on the floor being used as monitors for your band? A great option for that as well. Master volume, of course, or master level, I should say. That's going to give you that extra little push that you're sending out. How loud are you making? How quiet are you making it? And the whole 9 yards with that. Over here to the side, you see an external sub mode. So obviously, if you're going to hook these up to a sub of some sort, you want to make sure that it is recognizing it, so you're not kind of doubling up on that. If you are using that external sub, make sure you're using it in the up feature, if you're using the external sub, it's going to be in the down feature. You're going to cut off your low ends. If it's not being an external sub, then you're going to put it in the top end, so it gives you that little extra full range sound, if you will. To the right of that, for front LED, do you want it on? Do you want it showing only if it's a limit, or do you want it off? And of course, that's all personal preference as far as what you're going to be doing. Over here to the side, we've got mic and line levels. How loud are you going to input just the one? If you've got a weak signal coming from your system, then obviously you want to boost it a little bit. If you've got a mic that you're plugging in, notice you get a little extra dB boost for a mic, whether it's 24 or 36 decibels. And notice that if you can see it right there, it actually has a kind of close in just for mic. You really probably don't want to do the 24 or 36 decibel for any kind of a line input, that's for sure. And you've got your XLR ins, as well as being able to use a 1/4 inch for these, which is kind of nice, and then a link from what you have going in here to what you have going out without having to be dependent upon any of the inputs. Over here on the right side, another line input giving you the option. Notice RCA inputs, so that's kind of nice. Want to hook an iPad or an MP3 player of some sort up to it, you could go right in. You don't have to worry about getting a whole bunch of extra cabling to do that. Or you can also do another XLR or 1/4 inch in, and then again linking out whatever is going in this side. What I kind of like also is not only do they have these two for the links on the individual pieces, but they also have a nice line out after the mix. So after you put everything in, you have a line out, maybe running to your other speaker. You don't even have to worry about a separate mixer. You know, for some guys, they want to keep it nice and small for what they're doing. Maybe it's a ceremony or something like that. So this gives you the features of being able to use everything right off the back and then run it to the other speaker and be done with it for that day. All right, we're going to hook these up here in just a moment, give you a chance to really check some of the other features out, see what they sound like, and we'll go from there. All right, before we get into the sound and the sound quality of what we were dealing with the Express 12, there is a couple of features that I forgot to mention when we had it spun around that I'd like to go ahead and mention now. First off, one of the cool features that is on this is inside there is a rotatable horn. going from 60 degrees to 90 degrees, kind of depending upon what room you're going to be in. Now, the downside is it's not like you're flipping a switch on the back. There's not like there's a dial in the back I can grab and I can just turn it. You would have to take the grill off, the couple of screws inside, turn it, screw it back in, put it back on, and go with it. So the downside to that is there's going to be a little bit of a work involved to it, but in the same respect, it does make these speakers a lot more versatile if you're going to be in this particular room, or if you're going to be in a corner of a room where a wide spread would create a lot of echo for you. Having that narrow spread would be a little bit nicer, and these speakers give you that option. One of the other couple of features that I wanted to mention, on top there are fly mounts. So if you are going to be installing these, obviously it makes it nice. You don't have to really create a whole new type of setup just so you can hang these speakers somewhere. And then one of the other features, and I mentioned that I talk about this, it's the weight. MJ and myself, we talked about this one night where we said, the weight on it when we were carrying these in their boxes, it just, oh my gosh, these things were heavy. We got them out of the box, or when I got it out of the box today and I was picking it up, not as bad. So a lot of the weight that we were feeling was from the packaging and the cardboard and all that kind of stuff that just kind of added that density to it. But I will say, these are not necessarily light speakers. For tops, they're rated at 50.9 pounds. So there's some weight to these, but they're big speakers, so that would make sense that there's going to be some weight to them. But again, 50.9 is what we're dealing with. On the bottom, we've got the 12-inch subwoofer, hence why we're talking about these being the XPRS 12s. And then on top, it's a 1.75-inch horn that we're dealing with. Or sorry, compression driver that we're dealing with. So that's what you have for here. This is a wood enclosure. That's one of the very nice selling points of this because, again, nothing's going to give you the sound of wood. And so anybody who's a true audiophile would tell you you want a wood enclosure. And then last but not least, these are rated at 2,400 watts. 1,200 continuous, 2,400 watts would be the peak that you have here. To me, that's probably the one negative besides the weight that we're dealing with, because there's some venues that I work with where if I draw too much power, I'm going to blow circuits. Now, if you talk to anybody who hooks up a wattage meter to these, you're not really drawing 1,200 watts at a time. This is a very well done cabinet. It's going to be pulling much less than this, probably only a couple hundred watts at any particular time unless you really, really, really push it. But still, just that fact that I could push it sometime and possibly blow them, probably not going to be my go-to speaker from that standpoint. If I was dealing with a room where I didn't have to worry about power, absolutely, these are great speakers. So here's the deal. We hooked it up to the 7000 and decided we kind of run some sound through it. The problem is the music that I have would probably get this kicked off of YouTube. So I can't unfortunately play any sound through it. Plus, it's probably not going to pick up the greatest on my GoPro anyway. Here's what I will say from the sound that I heard. Very high, crisp sounds, but kind of a little tinny if you had it just on flat. I dropped it down into the bass plus. Then it was gave me a nice full range sound. I would probably recommend, if you're going to be doing any significant types of events where you would want to use this, you're probably going to want a sub to go with it. They make a lot of different subs in the Pioneer line, so it would be very nice for you to pick one up that would match it very well. But I just felt like something was kind of missing when I stepped in front of the speaker. Beside it, I was feeling it. It was a nice hard punch the way it sounded. When I got a little bit out though, the tops were just overpowering. They were nice and strong, but just kind of needed that extra little oomph. And of course, this being a 12, that would make sense. If you stepped it up to the 15, you're probably going to give that bigger punch that you might need if you're going to use only tops without any subs at all. So that's kind of what I would have to say about this. I think it was a great speaker. I think you'd be very impressed with the sound that you get out of it. But like I said, if you're going to go with the 12s, you're probably going to want to add a sub into it just to help it sound all that much better. Thanks very much. It's been Dan Carpenter with DJN TV.